Part 2 of When Mother Lets Us Cook. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. When Mother Lets Us Cook by Constance Johnson. Part 2. Waiting Rule. Make your friends wait if there's any delay, but never your omelette, cakes, or soufflé, for friends will not spoil, but the other things may. Sweet Omelette. 4 eggs, 3 teaspoonfuls powdered sugar, half teaspoonful vanilla extract, teaspoonful butter, chafing dish or double boiler, teaspoon, egg beater, spatula, 2 bowls for mixing, fork. Take 2 eggs and separate the whites and yolks. Put the whites in one bowl and the yolks in another. Add to the yolks 2 whole eggs, 3 generous teaspoonfuls of powdered sugar, and a half teaspoonful vanilla. Beat with an egg beater until very light. Put some boiling water in the under pan of your chafing dish or double boiler. A chafing dish is the best, for it is easier to serve the omelette in the dish in which it is cooked, and you cannot do this with an ordinary double boiler. Be sure that the lamp in your chafing dish is lighted. In the upper pan drop a teaspoonful of butter, and as it melts spread it over the pan with a spoon, so that the sides as well as the bottom are greased. Whip the 2 remaining whites with an egg beater until very stiff, and mix them with the rest of the eggs, very carefully with a fork. Pour into the buttered pan, cover the pan, and cook it without touching for 15 minutes. Serve at once, in the same pan. If you use a double boiler, loosen the sides of the omelette with a spatula or flexible knife, so that it will come away from the pan, fold half of it over the other half, and turn out upon a hot plate. This is enough for 3 people. Cereal cakes. Any cooked cereal, tablespoonful of butter, iron saucepan, turning knife or spatula, mixing bowl. Some day when there is cooked oatmeal or hominy or rice left over from breakfast, ask your mother to let you make it into a lunch dish. Take a small iron saucepan and put it on the hot part of the stove. It should get very hot. Take the cold cereal in your hands and mold it into little cakes about the size of fish balls. Put a piece of butter as big as a sugar lump into the hot saucepan, and as soon as it is all melted, lay the little cakes into the pan. At the end of 1 minute, lift up one of the cakes with your turning knife, and if the underside has a brown crust on it, turn the cake over. Do the same with each cake until they are all nicely browned on both sides. They should be eaten right away with sugar or maple syrup on them. Pancakes. 1 teaspoonful baking powder, 1 1/2 cups flour, 2 eggs, 1 cup milk, 1 teaspoonful salt, butter, fork, 1 teaspoon, 2 mixing bowls, measuring cup, egg beater, flour sifter, saucepan, spatula, wooden spoon. Take 2 eggs and break them carefully so that the whites and yolks shall be separate, and put the yolks in one bowl, the whites in another. Beat the whites stiff with your egg beater, and then beat the yolks. Sift some flour into your measuring cup until you have 1 1/2 cupfuls. Add 1 teaspoonful of baking powder and 1 teaspoonful of salt. Before doing anything else, put your frying pan on a hot part of the stove. Sift your flour mixture into the bowl with the egg yolks, and stir them together with a wooden spoon. Measure 1 cupful of milk and add this to the flour and egg. Stir it in a little at a time, and beat the mixture well with the wooden spoon. There must be no lumps in the batter. Last of all, mix in your beaten egg whites carefully with a fork. Put about half a teaspoon of butter into your hot pan, leaving it on the stove. When the butter is melted, pour into the pan 1 tablespoonful of the batter. Spread this out quickly so that the batter in the pan will be very thin, and let the cake cook until it is brown on the underside. The hotter your pan, the quicker the batter will cook, and the better your pancake will be. You can lift up a corner to see if it is done, if you do this carefully with a spatula. When the cake is done on one side, turn it quickly and carefully with the spatula, and brown on the other side. Never turn a cake more than once. It spoils it. When both sides of the cake are done, lift it out of your pan and put it on a hot plate. Make the rest of the cakes in the same way, as rapidly as possible, and serve at once with sugar and butter, or with maple sugar, or maple syrup, or with cream. You may have to add a little butter to your pan if you find it is getting dry. Baking rule. When you bake a small thing, have the oven hot. But for baking big things, cool it off a lot. In a too hot oven, put a pan of water. That will cool it nicely, or at least it oughter. Baked stewed pears. Pears, spices, baking dish. Take some small sickle pears, wash them, and put them whole into a deep dish. Sprinkle each one with a pinch of sugar, a pinch of cinnamon, and a pinch of cloves. Cover the bottom of your dish with an inch of cold water, and set in a hot oven to simmer. This usually takes 3 hours. If the water dries off, add a little more. They are done when soft. Serve with cream or milk. You can also use hard green cooking pears, but these must be peeled. Baked potatoes. 6 potatoes, scrubbing brush, fork. Choose 6 potatoes of about the same size, and scrub the dark skin well with a scrubbing brush and cold water. Pierce them with a fork. Put the potatoes in a hot oven, and cook them with their jackets on for about 1 hour. Try them with a fork in about 3/4 of an hour, and see if they are soft. If they are, wrap them in a clean table napkin, and serve at once. Baked potatoes are very nice with butter and salt. Some people like them with milk. Baked apples. 6 apples, granulated sugar, butter, cinnamon, 1 cup hot water, apple corer, baking pan, cup, fork. Pick out 6 nice large cooking apples. Greenings are the best. Core them and put them in a pan. Put on top of each as much granulated sugar as you can pinch between your finger and thumb, a pinch of cinnamon, and a bit of butter about the size of half a lump of sugar. Pour about 1 cup of hot water into the pan, and set in a moderate oven. It is almost impossible to say how long to leave them in. They are done when they are soft and juicy, probably in about half an hour. Stick a fork into them, and try them when you think they are done. Put them in a pretty plate or bowl with all the syrup that has been cooked out of them, and serve with cream or milk. They are nice hot or cold. Nest egg. Eggs, salt, pepper, mixing bowl, egg beater, baking bowl, spoon. Take a nice fresh egg, and ask the cook to show you how to break it open carefully and separate the white and the yolk, so that the yolk will not be broken. Leave the yolk in a half eggshell, and let the white fall into a mixing bowl. Add a pinch of salt to the white, and beat with an egg beater until it is very stiff. Have ready some little bowl or deep saucer that is pretty enough to put on the table, and yet will not break in the oven. Into this dish pour the stiff beaten white, and make a little hole in the middle of the white with a spoon. In this little hollow place put the yolk, still unbroken. Set the dish in a hot oven, and cook for 2 or 3 minutes, or until the white is a little brown and the yolk is firm. Serve right away. There must be a separate dish for each egg. Tapioca pudding. 3 tablespoonfuls pearl tapioca, 1 quart milk, 2 tablespoonfuls sugar, 1 egg, 2 teaspoonfuls vanilla, mixing bowls, tablespoon, teaspoon, baking dish, egg beater. Put 3 tablespoonfuls of pearl tapioca into half a cup of cold water